Hey guys, how is everybody doing today? I have a Phantom Knights deck profile for you guys. And I'm super excited to show you guys this. It's just a great deck, man. Overall, with the introduction of Torn Scales, it just became such a powerful deck. Definitely um, tier two at least. And they can definitely compete with so many other decks out there. Torn Scales just did so much. The deck went from being, in my opinion, barely playable because it lacked any good starters, at least when you're playing like a pure variant. And then, getting Torn Scales, not only did we get an additional extender, but we got a great starter that can do so much on its own. So after the deck profile, I'm going to show you guys like some one card combos, one and a half card. Actually, it would be one and a half card because we need anything to discard for Torn Scales, but that's technically still kind of like a one card combo. And then I'll show you guys how we can extend. Like if we open up, say, with like a couple of extenders, one extender, two extenders. I'll show you guys like how to play if you just open up like level threes. Like if you have access to two level threes on the board, you have pretty much full combo. So let's get into it. I'm very excited to show you guys the list. So with the for the starting off with the Phantom Knights, obviously you're playing three Torn Scale, you're playing three Cloak, three boots, and then you're playing two gloves and one of the other new card, which is Stain Greaves. So this is the Phantom Knights monster lineup in the main deck, at least. Torn Scales again, it's an insane card, super strong for the deck. Just like your best starter, arguably next to Tour Guide. But it's actually it's the reason that I say it's your best starter. It's because it's a safer starter than Tour Guide. And what I mean by that is because it's a Phantom Knight. You could, if you open up like say this and boots, if you discard and you get impermed or ashed or veilered, you could still special summon the boots. Whereas Tour Guide, you need a specific extender that can special summon itself. But with Torn Scales, you're in a much better position also because if you discard a cloak, for example, for cost, or even a boots or a gloves, um, then even if you get hand trapped, you're still able to extend because you've discarded a very good card in the form of any of these, pretty much except this, unless you have another Phantom Knights in hand. And then Cloak, obviously, you want to see this card. We want to max out on these cards because in the grind game, you want to be able to outgrind the opponent. You want to be able to loop these effects again and again. Stain Greaves is just a nice one of. It's nice to have access to this card in case you need to unbreak your hand. You could just send this to the grave and then banish it, special summon a Phantom Knights from the hand. And also, if you special summon a Phantom Knights, and this is in your hand, you could special summon it, so it's a really good extender, just a nice one of. So that is it for the Phantom Knights. Our other starters, so this is, we're playing a small BA engine, so I would consider Tour Guide as part of the BA engine since she can only summon like level 3 fiends, so the only targets are herself, Graf, and Seer. The reason that I'm only playing two copies of Tour Guide is, again, she's very high impact. So when you normal summon her, you special summon a fiend from the deck or hand, level 3. Very high impact. But the thing is, if she gets hand trapped, it actually hurts way more than if Torn Scales gets hand trapped. Because she doesn't discard anything for cost. Sometimes that might be very important, like I mentioned before. Also, she's not a Phantom Knight, so if you do like open up like with boots, you can't special summon boots from the hand. Um, and again, just Torn Scales being able to discard for cost, it's actually very relevant because we have so many good cards that we discard. But again, she's still very good. I feel like we have three Torn Scales, we have two Tour Guide, we have reinforcements of the army, and then we also have a combination of different extender. So I feel like at two she's fine. You could play three. It's up to personal preference. I feel like it's good at two. Two Graph and two Seared. I'm mainly playing two of each because if we draw one, we want to have access to the other one in deck. That's pretty much why we keep it at two. Well, I mean the card's only at two, but we won't run any less copies than two, because when we do summon Cherubini, we want to be able to send this from the deck to the graveyard. So if we do draw one, we want to have access to one, obviously, and then this special summons a BA from the deck, so we want to have access to another Seer in case we draw one. So that is it for the small BA engine. Guys, any two level threes, it's pretty much like the Assault play with like any two warriors. It's the same thing. Any two level threes gets you combo. You can combo off for extenders or other extenders. We play 3 Kagamusha Knight. It says when you normal summon a level 3, you can special summon this from your hand. And then this card can't be used as synchro material, which is not relevant. We don't synchro in the deck. But what's nice is that even if you draw 2 and you have like no other plays, you can normal summon one and then special summon the other one. Because it doesn't specify like except itself, which is really nice. It's great that it doesn't have like any restrictions besides the synchro thing. And then we play 1 junk forward. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this. So it's just nice because it doesn't require any normal summon, any trigger of a level 3 or having a Phantom Knights or anything like that. The only thing it requires is if you control no monsters. I think it's good as a one of. Again, if we really wanted like another one, we have reinforcements of the army, so you could always say that we run like 4 copies, 2 copies. And then we run 1 Psychic Tracker and then 1 Wielder. We just run both of them because they're each once per turn, so you can't special summon this twice. You can't special summon this twice from the hand. So you want to be able to have access to both. Like you draw both, you could summon both and combo off, which is really nice. So that is it for our other extenders. Okay, so we have 6 extenders, plus Boots is an extender. So it's a good amount of extenders. I feel like it's fine. And then for the hand traps, we have 3 Ash, we have 3 Imperm, and then we have 2 Nibiru. I think we're at 42 cards in the deck, 42, 43 maybe. I'm totally like I haven't counted, to be honest, but I know we're around 42, 43 cards. I didn't want to play any more hand traps because it takes away from the consistency of the deck. I find myself opening up 1 to 2 copies of the hand traps, which is nice. It's good enough. So Ash is just, again, very generic hand trap, good against everything. Imperm, it dodges tactics, dodges the single called by the grave, and it's just nice because it's a trap. That column thing. It's so relevant. People still don't play around Imperm, which is really bad. I feel like more people should definitely be playing around this card. Imperm is it's definitely a very powerful card. And then 2 Nibiru, just a high impact hand trap that ends turns by itself. So that is it for the hand traps. Now moving on to the spells. So I do main 2 Cosmic Cyclone, and I really, really need something. I need an answer to Mystic Mind. That card is like, if they bait out like my negate for the spell and trap, which is Dragoon. Spoiler, we play Dragoon because Dragoon is too good not to play in this deck. But Cosmic Cyclone is just it's needed, in my opinion. It's definitely needed. I know you could argue that you could just like side, games 2 and 3, but just if you think about it, there's so many decks right now, specifically in this format after Phantom Rage, that that do depend on a lot of their spells and traps, mainly like their field spells, their continuous spells. Like if you think about it, like take a when you think of like Zoo, right? You could with Zodiac, they're playing they're playing some back row. They're also playing they have a Barrage, they have Tanky, cards like that you could hit. For Dogmatica, you could hit, if they're playing Dogmatic Invoked, you could hit the Schism, you can hit their the Punishment. So it's very relevant. I feel like it's definitely relevant in almost every matchup. And then specific, like when you think about it too, is Virtual World has done so well in such a short amount of time, and then they also rely on having those face-up spells and traps to get their effects going. So if they activate an effect in hand, target like their trap, you could chain Cosmic, banish the trap. Now you don't have to deal with the pop, and you don't have to deal with the you don't have to deal with their effects in hand, and it actually negates. It doesn't really negate, but the effect will resolve without effect because they don't have that face-up spell and spell or trap on the field. So again, very relevant card, and I feel like just two is fine. For the other spells, we have three one-ofs: Foolish Burial, Reinforcements, and then Red Eyes Fusion. And then Red Eyes Fusion, obviously, we have the Dark Magician and Red Eyes. Foolish Burial is just insane. I mean, like, you're playing a graveyard deck, so sending anything that you need, sending an extender, sending just any Phantom Knights to be able to extend, get your plays going is really nice. Reinforcements of the army is good because it's like we're playing 4 copies of like Cloak, Boots, Torn Scales. We're playing 3 copies of Gloves. We're playing 4 copies of Kagamusha. Just it's nice that we have so many warriors that we can search off the reinforcements of the army. And then lastly, for the last 4 cards, 3 Fogblade and then 1 Shade Brigandine. Fogblade is definitely necessary at 3 in this deck because you'll search 2, right? You'll have like 1 to 2 set, and then you'll actually send 1 to the graveyard for to revive your Phantom Knights. So definitely at 3, no less than 3 in my opinion. And then Brigandine is just really good because it allows you to go into IP. We play IP, so it's nice that we could like set this and then activate and then have another monster to be able to go into IP. Plus, it also contributes as being a 1-card combo. So I'm going to show you guys in a bit after we get through the extra deck how you can play with 1 card, what you can do with 1 card pretty much. For the extra deck, we have 2 Phantom Knights. The Phantom Knights of Breaksword. 2 is definitely the minimum I would play. I wouldn't play any less than 2 because 2 does come up. Going second, you actually can summon this twice very easily because of the new card, which I'll show you guys shortly. Levier, we make this almost every turn 0, like our first turn. We're always making this to recycle our banished Phantom Knight, so that way we have follow-up plays for next turn, and then we easily link it off. It's just nice to have it as a one-of. For the only rank 4, excuse me, we play Raider's Knight. So Raider's Knight is a new card. It allows us to rank down into Breaksword or rank up into Arc Rebellion. So going second, you hard make Breaksword, you activate its effect, pop itself, pop a card your opponent controls. It triggers to summon 2 Phantom Knights from the graveyard. They become level 4. You overlay into Raider's Knight, detach from Raider's Knight, and then rank down into the second Breaksword, and then detach again. Activate Breaksword's effect again to pop another card. And Breaksword is not a hard or soft it's not a hard once per turn, so you can use its effect multiple times to special summon, to pop. So you're basically out of 2 monsters, you get 2 pops and a link 2. So you have 2 level 3s, you overlay into Breaksword, you pop a card, pop Breaksword. Breaksword summons the 2 Phantom Knights back, you overlay into Raider's Knight. So with the same 2 cards you're recycling, you're getting rid of your opponent's cards, and you're still maintaining card advantage because those cards keep coming back because of Breaksword. And so after using Breaksword twice, those monsters are going to come back 1 more time, and then you're going to be able to link 2. And then Arc Rebellion, we can either detach a material from Raider's Knight to rank down or rank up into Arc Rebellion. And what Arc Rebellion says is you could detach a material from this card, negate all other face-up cards on the field, and then it gains attack equal to the original attack of all monsters currently on all other monsters besides itself. So it can get really big. It could negate like entire boards, and then it could attack for game. It's the only monster that can attack, unfortunately, but it's a very nice card to have access to in the deck, and plus it looks absolutely insane. So it's nice that it can also negate your opponent's Dragoon, which is nice because Dragoon, it'll get the attack boost after it negates, but this will actually bring it back down to 3,000, which is really cool. So you can't declare attacks except with this monster, and then again, like you detach one, it gains attack. And then all other, then it negates other face-up monsters on the field, which is really nice. All right, so moving on to the Link ones, we have Link Spider. Okay, this is because of Shade Brigandine. Again, this will make more sense once we get into the combos. And then we have Salmon Gray Almirage. This is for your normal summons, like Cloak, Boots, and Gloves. Again, it'll make sense once I go over the combos. We have one Cherubini. You could bump this up to two, but because we play two Seer can actually bring this back from the graveyard, and then we could just like use its effect again. So I think at one, it's okay. It's two for me hasn't personally come up, but again, you could bump this up if you want. We have one IP. IP gives us access to Unicorn and Appaloosa, so it's nice to have that card. Verte for the Dragoon, and for our Link 3s, we have Bardiche. We have Unicorn. Bardiche is just insane. It's the best in its own archetype, in its own deck. It really shines because you send your extenders, and then you use its effect to pop. It's just really nice. Unicorn obviously for the IP, or we can just like summon this like going on our following turn, just so we could get rid of our opponent's cards. Going second, it's also nice to have access to this card. And then it's also nice to have access to this card because when we link into a Link 4 into access code, we can target this, gain that big attack boost, and then have enough to go for game. And then for the last Link 4, we have Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, because we do summon this using IP. Minimum, you'll get like 2 negates. Sometimes you'll get 3, but most of the time you'll get 2. And then we have Dragoon. Dragoon, guys, is definitely necessary. It just raises the ceiling for the deck, and it gives the deck an Omni Negate. So you can end with a bunch of monster negates, but if your opponent like has too many spells and traps and your monster negates aren't doing anything, then it really feels terrible to just sit there and watch your opponent play and you can't do anything. So it's nice to have Dragoon, just a really great boss monster that can be targeted, can be destroyed, and is an Omni Negate that negates any card or effect. Plus, we have really good cards to discard with Dragoon. Like we have most of our cards have graveyard effects, so anything we discard with Dragoon will get us advantage in our next turn. So that is it for the main and extra deck. Wow, we are under 20 minutes. I'm very surprised. I'm kind of proud of myself, actually. So guys, I'm going to get into showing you guys how. First, I want to show you guys just a very simple like 1-card combo you can do if you brick very, very badly. So sometimes, right, I would say it's rare, but sometimes you will open up with one of these cards and no extender. And you'll just have like this and maybe like a bunch of hand traps. Maybe you'll draw like your vanillas, Cosmic Cyclone, whatever. So I'm going to show you guys what you can do because we play Link Spider and the Almirage. All these cards, these like 8 cards, they become 1-card Dragoons. So the least that you can end with is a Dragoon. I found myself like opening up these cards, like just I have so many great cards in the deck, but I'll just happen to brick and just open like maybe like these 2 together, right? Or maybe Boots and like no other Phantom Knights and no other extenders. It happens. It definitely happens. So it's nice that all these cards become 1-card Dragoon. So what you do is we'll start off with Cloak. You'll normal summon the Cloak. You'll send it to the grave, and then you'll summon. Because this is why we play Almirage and Link Spider. You'll summon the Almirage. You're gonna banish the Cloak, and you're gonna search Brigandine. You're gonna set Brigandine, activate Brigandine, and then you're gonna link this off into the Link Spider. Right, and now you have 2 effect monsters, so you can link these 2 off for your Verte. And guys, like these, what's nice is that because you play Access Code Talker, these cards do serve another purpose, which is food for Access Code Talker because it's a fire and earth, and now you'll at least have three pops. You'll banish a dark, an earth, a fire because you have access to these cards. So just something to think of. So basically, yeah, you send the Red Eyes Fusion and you summon your Dragoon, and that was done with Cloak alone. And the same combo can be done with boots and with um, gloves as well. Even gloves is like one of the worst ones, and really like it rarely ever does anything by itself. But thankfully, it's 1,000 attack, so we can still go into Almirage, and then we can banish the gloves. We can send Cloak to the grave, right? We can send Cloak to the grave, and then Cloak can banish itself to search the Brigadine, and then Brigadine gets his Link Spider, Verte, and then same thing with the boots. We'll link this off into Almirage. We'll banish the boots to search the the Brigadine, and then be able to go into Link Spider that way. So it's just awesome. It's so cool that these three cards, right? These three cards can, because we play the one Brigadine, and again, because you play like Almirage and Link Spider, you're able to end on a very strong Omni Negate, backed up by hand traps, backed up by like maybe you drew like hand traps, maybe you drew fog blades. So again, just very nice to be able to do that, and you definitely have space in the deck. So you're not taking away from the extra deck at all. Because I'll show you guys what. So you notice that we're not playing Requiem. Requiem is good. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like we can still get the monster negates in the form of Appaloosa, and at the same time have one less brick in the deck, because the rank up, as nice as it is, unfortunately it is another brick. That it's a card that you want to search, it's not a card that you want to draw. And I didn't find that I missed it at all, pretty much. It's a really, again, Requiem is just an insane card, but I didn't miss it. You could play it, just it's up to personal preference. Next, I want to show you guys how great of a card Torn Scale is. I mean, this card, he is not just hype. This card is absolutely insane. I'm gonna start with this, and we'll start with a hand trap. Okay, with Nibiru Ash, any random card. This is any random card plus Torn Scale, and look what you can accomplish with these two, with this single card alone and any discard fodder. So you're gonna normal summon Torn Scale, activate effect. You're gonna send the random card. Okay, you're gonna send Cloak. Cloak is gonna banish itself to search your boots. You control the Phantom Knights. You're gonna special the boots, and you're gonna link these two off into your Cherubini. Okay, Cherubini is your Assault, pretty much. You're gonna activate Cherubini's effect. Thank God it sends for cost, because that is not fair in my opinion. But it's really nice that it has like that Dante theme where it's like Dante mills for cost, that sends for cost. So you send the graph for cost, and then to gain the attack. Then on a new chain, graph will trigger to summon Seer from the deck. And then with these two cards, you're going to link into your Link 3, Bardiche, okay? And then Seer is actually going to trigger, and it's going to summon your Cherubini back. And then from here, you're going to activate the effect of Bardiche. We're going to send Boots, okay? And then we're going to set the Fog Blade. Okay, so we have Fog Blade right here. We're going to set it. And then from here, we can banish our boots, okay? And we're gonna we could send a Fog Blade, okay? Because this will allow us to extend. And then from here, Torn Scale is gonna trigger because a Phantom Knights was banished. Torn Scale can summon itself back, which is really cool. And then we're gonna banish the Fog Blade to special the boots. We're gonna overlay these two into our Levier, and we're going to detach the material, doesn't really matter, boots, and we're going to revive the cloak. That way we put it back in our graveyard so we have a follow-up play. And then from here, guys, you have two options. Okay, you can go for IP with these two, and then on your opponent's turn, you'll have you're going to banish the boots to search your fog blade. So you'll have two fog blades, a two negate, and a two negate Appaloosa. Or I mean, my preference and my my advice is to actually go for the Verte, because that is an Omni negate that's going to be way more powerful. But again, if you're going with like a heavy, like if you're going against a heavy combo deck that relies a lot on their monster effects, then actually the Appaloosa might be better, because you're gonna need that discard fodder for Dragoon. So if we're technically just playing with the card with Torn Scale and a random card, then you're gonna actually need the card that you add with boots to discard for Dragoon. So we're gonna summon the Dragoon. Okay, paying 2k, sending Red Eyes and Dark Magician and Red Eyes Fusion, and then you're gonna lastly you're gonna banish boots, and you can search either, if you're gonna be discarding with Dragoon, I would just search Brigadine. That way we're not. I mean, honestly, no, we could just search the Fog Blade. That's actually a good idea, because we could just revive our Phantom Knights during our turn. So we're gonna add the Fog Blade, but we're actually going to keep it in our hand because we're going to use it to negate. So with the Torn Scale, you actually end with a Fog Blade, a Dragoon, and then you also end with follow-up. So that's what's really nice, is that you didn't just like throw up a bunch of stuff and like leave yourself vulnerable for next turn. You actually ended with the Cloak back in grave, as well as the Torn Scales, because next turn when you banish Cloak to add the Phantom Knight's card, you're going to trigger Torn Scale to special summon itself, and then you could send something. Then whatever you draw, you could just send it, and then get your plays going again. You can also, what's really nice is that because you have Fog Blade, you're going to negate a monster effect, right? And then if they try to beat over Cherubini, you can just send this instead of this getting destroyed, so that way next turn you're going to resolve Cherubini again. So not only do you end with a decent board, but you end with a ton of follow-up, and that was just off Torn Scale. So that is how great that of a card that is. That card is just absolutely insane. So next, let's show you guys what you can do, okay, with Torn Scale and then a random card. Right, Torn Scale, a random card, but we're gonna add an extender. Okay, actually, you know what, this is like too good of an extender, so I just want to show you, because I don't want it to be like, I just want to show you guys like what it can do with another extender. With another extender, it actually becomes very, very powerful, and I'll show you guys right now. We're gonna normal summon the Torn Scale. You could special summon your whatever extender you drew or you opened up with first, and then discard. We're gonna send the Cloak. Okay, so we're gonna send the Cloak, and we're gonna banish the Cloak. Right? What is this? Oh, this is our deck. We're gonna banish the Cloak. Oh, this is what we discard. We're gonna banish the Cloak. We're gonna search the boots. Okay, we're gonna special the boots. And then from here, we can just keep the Wielder on the field. You could even keep Wielder in your hand. Later on, you're going to have level 3s to be able to special summon Wielder. But whatever, we special summoned it already. We're going to summon the Cherubini. Okay, and then Cherubini effect. Excuse me. We're going to send the Graph. Okay, and then Graph's going to trigger. We're going to summon the... Actually, you know what? Let me see. There we go. Okay, maybe I should have done that in the beginning, but I forgot my camera had the wide camera angle. Okay, anyway, so we summoned the Seer off Graph. We're going to link these two off. We're going to go into Cherubini. Seer is going to trigger to summon... we're going to go into Bardiche. Then Seer is going to trigger to summon Cherubini. And now, guys, we have a loaded grave and we have Bardiche on the field. We are going to send with Bardiche. We're going to send the boots, okay? Because again, this is assuming we have no other cards in hand, right? Otherwise, maybe if we had like another Phantom Knights, we could have sent Reeves, and then Reeves would have been able to summon that Phantom Knights from the hand. But in this case, we're going to send the boots to set the Fog Blade, okay? And from here, we are going to banish. Let's see. We're going to banish boots. Actually, you know what? We could banish the gloves, okay? And we're going to send Fog Blade, okay? And then that's going to trigger the Torn Scale. And then, in the first combo, we banished in this scenario, like at this point in the combo, we banished the Fog Blade to summon back our boots. But again, because we opened up an extender, we don't need to do that. So we're going to be able to overlay into our Levier. We're going to detach the Torn Scales. We're going to summon back that Cloak for next turn. Alright guys, and now check this out. So because we have the extra extender now, we could banish the Fog Blade to summon our boots, and then we're actually going to overlay for Breaksword, and I'm going to show you guys why this is actually a strong play. So when we summon Breaksword to a zone Bardiche points to, Bardiche is going to trigger because a dark Xyz was summoned to its pointer. It can pop a card, any card on the field. So we're actually going to pop our own Breaksword, and then Breaksword's going to trigger to summon these two back. Okay, and then we're going to use these two monsters for our IP. Because we need two non-link monsters to summon IP. And then we're going to use these two cards to summon Verte. And then we're going to pay the 2k. We're going to send Red Eyes, Dark Magician. And then we're going to end with banishing the boots. And we're going to search our last Fog Blade. And we're going to actually keep the Fog Blade in the hand for Dragoon. Again, if we're playing against, if we have a full hand, we could set this and then discard anything, because we have two other cards in hand. So we could discard any of those cards, unless they're like, you know, if it's an Ash, if it's an Imperm. If it's an Imperm, I would set the Imperm, set this, and keep a Fog Blade in hand to discard with Dragoon. So the reason, so some of you guys might be asking, like, why did you even summon Breaksword? What's the reason behind summoning Breaksword? Even if this all happened because of an additional extender. Because of an additional extender, we were able to go IP and Dragoon, whereas without an extender, we actually just ended with Dragoon. But look what an extra extender did for us. An extra extender not only gave us an IP to go into Appaloosa, but it also gave us something else. So when your opponent opponent starts their turn, you're gonna go IP, right? You're gonna link these two off. You're gonna go into Appaloosa. Appaloosa is gonna have two negates, and then sorry for the glare, guys. So this is my hand, and then when you negate, right? If you have that Fog Blade, you're gonna discard it. So you negate something, destroy it, whatever, and then if your opponent has maybe more back row, like a field spell, a continuous spell, or like they set a card and they're about to pass turn, now you have the Fog Blade in grave, and you can actually banish it, and you can summon that Breaksword to Bardiche's pointer, and now Bardiche has an additional pop, which is very strong, and you get the body. So that is the reason that single extender not only allows you to gain access to a 2-negate Appaloosa, but it actually gives you another interruption. We could have easily set this and had the Fog Blade just as a monster negate, but because we already had 2 monster negates, actually 3 monster negates with the Fog Blade, so we'll have 3 monster negates. We'll have the Omni negate, right? And then we'll also have a pop, so it gives us that diversity in our interactions, and what we can do to stop our opponent. So it's nice that we gain the pop effect, because that can stop traps and spells as well, and then we have the three monster negates, and then we have the omni negate, and then we have the pop. So that is the reason that I just like enjoy just one extra extender with Torn Scale and with just any discard fodder, pretty much. So that's probably my favorite thing to do, is just being able to, have that pop, have the negate. And then also, again, guys, we actually set ourselves up for next turn because not only like we had Cloak back in the grave, and then we still had Torn Scale. So having these two cards for next turn, we're going to banish this, get a search. This triggers Torn Scale. We're going to summon Torn Scale to get another send, which is really nice. I think the last thing I'm going to show you guys is what you can do with the worst, like, level 3s, pretty much. So, like, say you opened Ash Blossom and, like, an extender. If it could be either Tracker, it can be Junk Forward, or it can even be Kagamusha. So, as long as you open one of these cards, or I'm sorry, it could also be a Wielder. You're able to combo off, even if like you draw like the Ash Blossom. Pretty much what I want to show you guys is 2 level 3s where it can get you. So let's just say that we drew the Kagamucha, because it is the 3 of, right? So we're gonna normal summon the Ash Blossom. That's gonna trigger Kagamucha because it says when a level 3 is normal summon. We're gonna link these two off into our Cherubini. Again, this is why Cherubini is just such a powerful card, because it's any 2 level 3s that gets you access. So Cherubini is gonna activate. We're gonna send the Graph, and then we're gonna summon the Seer. Where are you, Graph? There we are. We're gonna send the Graph. Graph's gonna trigger. It's gonna summon the Seer, and then with these 2 cards right here, we're gonna go into Bardiche. So keep in mind, these were with an Ash Blossom and like any extender. So then Seer's going to trigger to summon Cherubini back. Then we're going to activate the effect of, Bardiche. We're going to send Cloak. Okay, we're going to send the Cloak to set the Fog Blade. Okay. And then with Cloak, we're going to banish to search our Boots. Because we control the Phantom Knights, we're going to summon the Boots. And then from here, we can go into our Verte. Okay, and then we're going to summon Verte. We're going to pay 2k, send Red Eyes, send Dark Magician, send Red Eyes Fusion, summon our Red Eye Dragoon, and then we're going to banish the Boots to search Fogblade. Again, we're starting with 3 other cards in hand, so you have 3 blank cards. Again, just assuming that the only play you had was to normal summon Ash and special summon Kagamucha, this is what you end with. Unfortunately, you do not end with follow-up, because we have both of our Phantom Knights are banished. But again, this was done with any 2 level 3s that were not Phantom Knights. Like these 2 level 3s, it was just a generic extender and a hand trap. So with any 2 level 3s that aren't part of like your Phantom Knights engine, you can still end with a Dragoon and 2 negates. Okay, that's with any 2 level 3s. Again, this combo definitely gets better if you opened up your Phantom Knights or Tour Guide, or even an additional extender would have allowed you to use that Boots before you linked off into Verte. If you had any additional extender, you could have just went Levier, and then Levier to summon Cloak back, and then just use the Levier and the Cloak for your Verte. Keep the Cherubini, so if it survives, you'll use it next turn, and you would have had Cloak in grave, and you would have still ended with 2 Fog Blades and the Dragoon. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile as well as the combo tutorial. I really wanted to showcase what this deck can do. This is a phenomenal deck. It's definitely a very, very powerful deck. If you guys enjoy the playstyle, it kind of reminds me of Orchist, where Orchist would do a good job setting up their grave, and as well as have these like very diverse interactions for your opponent to deal with, and have follow-up for next turn. I guess like you could call the whole Breaksword summon to Bardiche's Pointer, like Breaksword is like the mini I don't know, Dingirsu kind of. But again, guys, let me know what you guys think about the deck profile as well as the combo tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys decide to give this deck a shot if it is your style. So see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.